Hi, welcome to the October 2012 Mandolin Tip of the Month. The Mandolin Tip of the Month accompanies the Woodshed, which is an e-newsletter that I send out to all my students. Now in the Woodshed, the topic this month was about practice and about how to get started practicing. Sometimes we get going, we're not quite sure if we're doing the right things when we're working away. So I broke it into three parts. I was talking about how important the warm-up is, and then of course to do some review, but not getting stuck only in review, playing old tunes. That can be a bit of a trap. But then of course moving on from there and getting into the new material. But it's the warm-up that I want to dedicate today's video to, okay? Because there's just way too many ideas to put into one little tiny newsletter. It would just be overwhelming and no one would read it. So I figured that the video would be much easier. So I want to show you some actual warm-ups that you can do on mandolin, and hopefully this helps you out. I'm going to give you three levels, that is. I'm going to give you a beginner warm-up, and for you more intermediate students, I'm going to give one for you, so an intermediate warm-up, and of course for my more advanced students, it's a good idea for a warm-up, okay? So, beginners, let's start with you. One of the first things that I show anyone on mandolin is what I like to call the finger territory. So, what I mean by that is generally speaking, especially when you get started, the first finger is responsible for notes that you're going to play on the first two strings, right? So these guys right here. And then, of course, your second finger, the next two, okay? So frets 3 and 4, okay? And then 5 and 6, your third finger, okay? And then, of course, your pinky, okay? So just to kind of review again, so your first finger, frets 1, 2, 3 and 4 for your second finger, 5 and 6 for your third finger, okay? 7, 8 for your pinky. So a great little warm-up is to kind of just run through exactly that fingering. And what I mean is you start with your open string, and then do the guys for your first finger, okay? And then your second finger, third, fourth, and then just kind of work your way back down like so, okay? And you do that in each string, okay? So it's a very simple little warm-up, okay? Okay? So there you go. So that's a nice beginner warm-up. You can, of course, challenge yourself a little bit. Make sure that you're always doing the alternate picking, okay? So the down and the upstroke stuff. So you're going, you know, open, so you're going down, up, down, you know, etc., etc. But you can also double up on your picking, since we always, of course, have to work on tremolo. So let's get some eighth notes going on. So in other words, you're picking each note twice, right? So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, if you want to give yourself a bit of a challenge, 16th notes. And so on and so on. Okay? So, pardon me, just getting over a cold here. So that's an excellent little beginner warm-up that you can do. Okay? That should take you a few minutes, you know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, somewhere around there. Alright? Now, for your more intermediate students, a really excellent little warm-up to do, and this could be even for you advanced guys as well, is to take your major and minor scales and play them in position, in open position, okay? So I'm not talking about taking that pattern that many folks have learned, which is a great little pattern, you know, and moving around. I'm talking about actually playing your scale in position and running it through all keys. So I like to run things through what's called the cycle of fifths. So of course we start with the key of C, right? So we play all of the notes that we possibly can within the open position, okay? So essentially the territory that I was just talking about in the beginner lesson, okay? And then of course, back down again, okay? So your key of C, right? Your C major scale, no sharps or flats. Move on to your key of G, right? So go as far as you can in the position, you know? Okay, the key of D. Okay, back down. Okay, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, so on and so on and so on, till you come back to C again, okay? So that's a great intermediate exercise warm-up to be doing, okay? Bit challenging. You do your minor keys as well, and make sure you're alternate picking, okay? Now, for you more advanced guys, here's a tricky one, but it's a good time. Take one of the fiddle tunes that we've been working on, or one of the traditional tunes, the melody, okay? And play it in all keys, okay? So, a great tune, Whiskey Before Breakfast, originally in the key of D. Okay, move it to, well, the key of C. Okay, and then, of course, key of G is the next guy, right? Okay, key of D. The original key, right? Key of A. Key of E, key of B, and so on and so on and so on, okay? So run it all the way through the cycle of fifths. It gets, of course, really challenging when you start to run out of open strings to play, right? Okay, so there's a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced warm-up, okay, for all of you mandolin students. Now, a few little things about warm-ups is I firmly believe in doing them every time. It's not just a physical thing, it's a mental thing, okay? A warm-up becomes a trigger. It gets you ready to practice. We all have insane busy lives, and going in cold to play, to work on some new stuff, to learn some new tunes, or whatever it is that you're doing, anything that's new and unfamiliar is a very daunting thing. And like I said, going in cold won't always work. You need to do some kind of warm-up, okay? And that warm-up is, it could be one of those things right there. It could be lots of things, by the way, not just those. But make sure that it's fairly mindless, okay? It depends on how advanced you are. Like a beginner student, don't try to do fiddle tunes in all keys. That's crazy. You know, stick to what I showed you, or play your notes in open position up and down. Okay? So make sure that it's something that isn't going to kill you mentally, okay? It's a warm-up, and it becomes a trigger. It's time to play music. And just before I call it a day here, remember that a human has approximately a 20-minute attention span. What I mean by that, a task-oriented attention span is what it's known as, is that you can focus on something like that for about 20 minutes before you start to become unproductive. So if I'm playing my scales, like my intermediate warm-up, only do that for a maximum of 20 minutes. I use a little timer. I think I've told many of you this, but I set it for 20 minutes, and once that little alarm goes off, even if I'm in the middle of playing something, I'm done. And I put it down, go get a little breath of fresh air, a cup of tea or something, and no longer than 2 minutes, or you'll undo all the good you've done. And then I get right back to kind of pick up from where I left off. Okay? And I find it amazes me every time how well that works. It helps difficult new concepts to congeal, okay? Because I've gone and done something different for a minute. I can practice for hours on end. I can play for hours on end, but after a while, that becomes very unproductive, and I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not learning anything, okay? So you need to do it in 20-minute chunks. So if you practice for an hour, you're doing 3 20 minutes with a couple of minutes, break in between there. All right? I think you'll find that works really, really well for you. All right? So I hope that helps, and we'll see you next time.